trapped. We're trapped in a cage of our own making. We're trapped in a way of being that doesn't give us what we really want, alienates those that we love, and separates us more and more from the kinds of experiences and medicine and healing that could come back in and make it right. Somehow, we have developed a kind of way of seeing the world, an operating system that is built on shame, perpetuates shame, and keeps us out of the game. We downloaded this app, this OS, through a series of targeted shame experiences as children that were meant in some ways to keep us safe, but really were meant to conscript us in service of a system of domination, extraction, and exploitation, the root of which is the same power over, the same othering, the same manipulation, an illusion of separateness that is at the root of racism, capitalism, climate change. For men, you could call this manism. It's a story, it's a trance, it's a con. And we recognize that the benefits, though they have been great, are no longer outweighing the costs, because the cost is connection to our soul. The cost is connection to our healing through our body, our heart, and healthy narratives that bring us back into community. We've been having to give up body-centric, we've been having to give up what we love on behalf of what we have had to be. And the trance is starting to break, and the story is breaking down. When I was a little boy, my parents were fighting all the time. And that's not really the place I want to say, although that's true. When I was probably 12 years old, my parents were divorced, and I was living at my father's house on the weekends. And my neighbor was also my cousin, and he came over to visit. Actually, I'm breaking away from the message here. What I was intending to tell with that story was that Man OS gets downloaded at a young age. It gets silently slipped in through what amounts to a total rejection of the way we're presenting that is incompatible with a young soldier of manism. So anytime a child is shamed or told he's playing like a girl or throwing like a girl or crying like a girl, or anytime a boy is told to be a man or grow up or stand tall or be tough, anytime a boy's innocence and wild sensuality and sexuality is othered or shamed, or otherwise misinterpreted or objectified. We can't avoid wounding children. We can't avoid infecting them with the fact of duality, with ego. And yet the stories that we tell and the roles that we ask that children take on, the source story from which we spin the characters of our progeny, could probably use some scrutiny. The way I know that is that I got to a certain point where the OS that I had downloaded as a man, be strong, do it yourself, be independent, be smart, be the best, be original, don't panic, don't be afraid, don't be needy, don't be a loser, don't be girly, don't be gay, don't be weak, don't be feminine. All of that training failed me. I could share a story about that. And I was forced to begin the long journey. Probably longer than it's needed to be. Of opening up my body, my heart, my mind, and my soul. Learning to heal, to rest in existence. So if I were going to help men, what I would want to teach them is that there is a way, a method, a path, a journey to soften and release the conditioning, open and release the soul to direct the life force, to direct the ego. Heal and soften and open and reclaim the innocent, wild, sensual, clear truth of the body and heart, and stop telling stories, and slowly but surely get better and get back into the soul. And the way I would tell that story is through 4 very mysterious archetypes that are no more pin-downable than any archetype is by humans. And so these are less factual characters from Hollywood. It's less math and more myth. It's less binary and more non-binary. And so I'll give you this. So the first guy is the lover. So this is where we re-engage the wild wonderland of our bodies that we were born into. We re-engage the full range of our sensual wisdom, our sensual opportunity to explore and expand. We open up the nerve channels. And this is classically a space that is yin, but is later shamed in the culture as being feminine. So for men to fully embody the yin is not really an option for most men. And so to re-engage the ground of the lover, we really have to reclaim our original innocence and wildness that we may have slightly shut out because we were told it was girly. And in doing that, we're going to re-engage a lot of them pre-shame material, where we discover the fact of our vulnerability, and the fact that we can be hurt, and the fact of our fear. And so the lover is also as much the place of encountering fear as it is self-permission and sensuality. And so in this place, we begin to rest in our ultimate sense of yes. Yes, I have a body. Yes, I was a little boy. Yes, I love you. Yes, you will find expression in this body. So that's the lover. And then we come to the warrior. The warrior, unlike that yin lover reclaiming the innocence and the sensuality, this is very different. This is clarity and consciousness. This is containment. This has less to do with how it feels than the consciousness that penetrates through. So instead of being focused inward with the yes and the permission, this is the clarity of the heart that is expressing. This is the clarity of the heart which says no. This is the edges. This is the containment around the yin. This is the deep, true, yang energy that fills and permeates and decides and protects. So if the first yin is all about that yes and that total full-bodied permission, this yang is about the protection and about the what is not, and in what is not, what is. And the yin is the flower in the pot, and the yang and the warrior is the pot that contains the flower. The tension. So this is our practice in recognizing we were hurt. Things did get in. But now we have instant access to our no. We have instant access to our protection, and we are willing to stand in our own ground, in our own body, and have a truth that can heal by self-protecting. And we're not a victim. We're not a victim of our experience. So warrior, the no. But things aren't always so clear. And once we have built the body that can feel, that is then wrapped with that clarity, that can define the sort of merging of that yin-yang begins to fold in on itself, and we move into the magician, the alchemist. This is a practice of surrender and dying. This is a practice of I don't know. This is the place where, after connecting with the body and the heart, we begin to encounter the madness of the mind and the critic and the shadow and the loops of competition and competitiveness and comparison that have kept us in the shadow of the magician because we didn't fully heal the wounds of the little boy and the wounds of the baby. And so now we wind up in the magician and needing to, over and over again, learn this kind of soft, wild, out of control, losing total. It's not about us anymore. Something is beginning to move through us, but we don't know what it is. We're giving birth to something. This would be like the place of orgasm, the place of adolescence, the place of petite mort. And so this is the place of the river and the magician, the journey. And lastly, after we've died to ourselves and to what's bigger than us, after we've opened our hearts to let the pure light of truth come through, and we've completely reclaimed and owned the fantastic, wild, sensate frontier of our bodies, we are then free to become vessels as the king. And so it's important to recognize that the king in embodiment practice is not a place we start, it's a place that we end. And it can look a lot like the lover, or it can look like the warrior, or it can look like the magician. It all depends on the authenticity and the material that's been let go, embodying the first three archetypes. But this, whereas the first archetype was a yes practice, and the medicine was permission, and the warrior, the yang, was no and protection, and the magician was a death practice, and the healing, the medicine was healing. Now the king is a life practice, and the medicine is blessing. And the center of gravity is the world. So these archetypes are in all of us, but also in the world. And as we move into them, we're going to encounter a few places where we have settled for a shadow of our best. So in our disconnection from the body, what feels a little bit like the lover is the addict. And in our disconnection from the heart, what feels like a strange version of the warrior is our victim. It's kind of opt out. How can we be a warrior if we genuinely have no authority? If we genuinely have no agency? And in our disconnection from our healthy narrative, our healthy psyche, we have embodied a critic who takes apart, points out what's wrong, and tries to edit reality and everything about cutting and carving. Everything about what's wrong. Instead of the medicine it should be, which is, I don't like, but I just simply don't know. And I let go and I learn to accept and surrender. No, the critic is chiseling and taking apart reality. And then the ultimate disconnection, the disconnection from our soul, in which we are a piece in Indra's net in the web of life. The disconnection from that, the second best thing is the shadow of that king, which is the tyrant, which is, no, I am not in power with. No, I am not in service. No, I am not a channel for blessing. I am lording over. I am cause and whatever is effect. I am the boss. So this is the end of the talk. It's a profound opportunity and an honor to be with you, to talk about this incredibly challenging work. But I'm committed to it, and I'm committed to going as far with you guys as we need to go.